This is Minutia Men with Rick and Dave.
You know what, Dave? We had our 300th episode last week. You may have missed the...
I had no idea, did you?
No, I had no idea. I mean, I knew it was coming up, but I hadn't thought about it really.
Yeah.
But, you know, we missed the fanfare. We missed the marching bands.
Yeah, the Rick and Dave dancers didn't come, though, all that.
The solid gold dancers. We had everything lined up, and then...
Oh, shit, was that this week? You know what? I don't know what's more amazing, that we've stuck to something this long.
Yeah.
Or that we've managed to do 300 episodes with never repeating a story or a joke.
Oh, yeah, never.
Never. 100% original content every week, Rick. I defy all of our listeners to find when we have repeated ourselves. Listen, all 300 episodes are still in the podcast sphere, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can listen to any. You can listen to any and all of them. Although I do, now that you've mentioned that... is there something? I have a clip that I'm going to play later on in the show for you.
Okay.
All right. I don't want to.
Okay.
I don't want to waste it now, but it has something to do with what we were just talking about.
Okay.
All right. So you have a bunch of stories ready to go, and I do too, because Minutia Men time is now.
The following is a Tony Lasano podcast, an Opie production on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. This is Minutia Men with Rick and Dave.
So we started in 17? No.
16.
2016. Well before the election, right?
Yeah, we started during the Obama presidency.
So I imagine there's going to be some... There's no way Donald Trump could possibly win.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah. Without question. That's in there. But that's who we are.
Hey, Rick, to give you an idea how great our show is going to be today.
Yeah.
There's a story about Pamela Anderson realizing that her boyfriend was cheating on her when she saw him washing his penis in the kitchen sink.
Yeah.
And that didn't make the cut.
Wow.
Right. So, but I wanted to make sure that everybody can Google Google Pamela Anderson penis kitchen sink, and you're going to get a great story.
Wow.
There.
You know, I was just thinking, and I wanted to put this on our social media when people were congratulating us on our 300th episode. I wanted to say, boy, that's a lot of penis jokes. But I thought maybe, you know, like my mom sees that. She doesn't realize that we're telling penis jokes.
Oh, she doesn't listen?
You know, it's kind of surprising, but no, she does not listen.
Yeah, how many penis jokes do you think? 300 episodes?
Oh, at least
11,000?
Something like that, yeah, I'd say. All right, so go ahead.
Well, here, this is a story that I think is going to serve as a roadmap for what not to do.
Alert. Dave, you've already told this story on a previous episode of Minutia Men. That's the end of the alert. End of alert. Alert over.
I don't think I have, but it's possible. I love it how it's me. It's always me that's the problem for telling the same jokes.
It took me a while to find that. Sorry.
Okay. Headline. Suspected drug dealer inadvertently shows police a video of his huge cannabis farm while trying to access Google Translate.
Wow. Wait. Is this... would this be a Jenkins?
Oh, yes, it would be. Yes.
Okay.
Do you got that?
I do. Right here.
When you're on the job and you're not doing it right. Jenkins! Time now for Dave to share stories of employee screw-ups. Jenkins! It could only be Jenkins with Rick and Dave. Jenkins!
On Wednesday evening, officers were on patrol in the Rayton Bridge area of Huttonley Spring. And I said that with a German accent, but it's actually the UK.
Okay.
When they saw a gray Mercedes that aroused suspicion.
Okay.
After stopping the car and speaking to the occupants, officers noticed an extremely strong smell of cannabis. Okay. Hey, by the way, walk around Chicago, the whole city smells like pot right now.
I know.
I mean, it's got to be for the rest of our lives, probably.
I'm fine with it. It's a nice smell.
Yeah. So they searched the car, and they didn't find anything, right? But and so they're trying to converse with one of the suspects, and English was not their native language. So one of the suspects took out his phone, and to fully understand the officers, he opened up the phone to click on Google Translate.
Okay.
I guess, you know, I don't think I've ever used Google Translate.
I use it all the time.
So do you say something and then it translates?
Yep.
Or is it, okay. Well, much to the suspect's horror, or the guy who got stopped, he's not a suspect yet. He will be in about one sentence. A video immediately appeared on his screen, which showed a significant cannabis farm in operation with the suspect directing workers. Okay.
Hence the Mercedes.
The Sergeant Steve Passy of Northumbria Police went on to say, when the video appeared, the suspect tried to divert our attention and lock his phone. Okay, so it doesn't say how he tried to divert the attention, but I'm thinking, hey, what's that in your ear?
Is that a seagull?
Yeah, right. Hey, what's on your shirt? Whoop. Not only were there videos of the huge cannabis farm,
it's Rick Astley.
Yeah, right. Rick and roll. Right. Yeah. Not only were there videos of a huge cannabis operation, there were some 4 dozen other incriminating images on his phone. Would you like to know?
As people do, yeah.
You want to know what some of those incriminating
I would
photos
like to know, yes.
There was a picture of the suspect smoking an absurdly a large blunt. By the way, I think that's a joint. The kids nowadays call them blunt. Wearing a fake nose and glasses mask. So I think he was doing the Groucho Marx thing.
How
maybe?
do you know it was him?
Okay, good point. And another image showed the suspect with an open suitcase full of cash. A picture
again.
Of it.
Hence the Mercedes.
I'm going to put this on my phone. But my favorite piece of incriminating circumstantial evidence, and of course this is circumstantial, was the suspect's vanity license plate.
Oh no, I do pot.
It's GR8 STASH.
Great stash.
Great stash.
Wow.
And by the way,
see, I think he does better with English than he thinks.
Yeah, right, exactly. How he was able to.
Yeah.
By the way, did you know that in 2021? Colorado, the state of Colorado, auctioned off pot-themed vanity plates and raised $50,000 for a drug rehab center.
Oh, that's
in
nice.
21. Yeah. Needless to say, the suspect has now been arrested, and and he might think twice about taking selfies with Mary Jane.
The selfie always comes back and bites you. All right, I have a story that also involves circumstantial evidence. Okay. On Christmas morning, little Scarlett D'Amato took a break from playing with her new toys, marched into the kitchen, returned with plastic bags, and started collecting evidence. A half-eaten Oreo and a pair of munched-on carrots she'd left for Santa and his reindeer the night before. Scarlett, a 10-year-old from Cumberland, Rhode Island, could see teeth marks in both, but neither she nor her parents could prove that the person who ate the cookie was Santa or that the reindeer were the ones that chomped on the baby carrots. Actually, I just love this story. So, she did what any 10-year-old would do. She sent the evidence she collected to the police with a letter asking for them to check out the DNA. Dear Cumberland Police Department, I took a sample of the cookie and the carrots that I left for Santa and the reindeer on Christmas Eve and was wondering if you could take a sample of the DNA and see if Santa is real. So, on January 18th, the chief wrote Scarlett a reply informing her that he'd launched an investigation. So, good guy.
Sure.
Into the pursuit of Santa's true identity, and to that end, he'd send her DNA evidence to the state's forensic lab for analysis.
Well, you know what? He probably did it. It was like a $600,000 bill to the taxpayers.
That's probably true. So finally, she gets something back. Interestingly, he said, there's a partial match to a 1947 case centered around the 34th Street in New York City.
Oh, miracle.
According to the lab's report. And on the carrots, they found DNA matching closely with Rangifer tarandus, reindeer.
Oh.
While our laboratory was able to apply the most current and technologically advanced methods in solving this case, we weren't able to definitively confirm or refute the presence of Santa at your home. We all agree that something magical may be at play.
Oh. You know this kid, Scarlett?
Yeah.
Can you imagine what this kid's going to be like in high school?
Oh, my God.
It's going to be...
Oh, my gosh.
Eat your broccoli. I need evidence.
Well, here, listen to this. Scarlett was irritated by the lab results, her mom said. She'd hoped they would be conclusive, giving her a definitive yes or no answer to the question of Santa's existence.
Oh.
Without it, Scarlett is already crafting the next steps in her investigation. All right, so this year... she plans to collect DNA samples from mom and dad ahead of the holiday season. And then she will compare those to the sample collected from the glass of milk she leaves on Christmas Eve. And for good measure, she's hoping to set up a camera and hopes to catch whoever is doing this red-handed.
So mom and dad have to come up with an elaborate,
I can tell you, having a daughter sounds a little different than having a son.
Well, we went through this to a certain degree because we had the Jewish thing. Right.
Yeah.
And, it's we did both. We did Christmas and Hanukkah. But I would constantly, and Lila more than the twins, but Lila would constantly ask me, like, well, why is Santa coming to our house?
Yeah.
We don't celebrate Christmas. And then I concocted these, well, honey, you've got 4.
Wait a minute. Spoiler alert. Any little children, please stop listening.
I concoct, because you have 4 Christian great-grandparents, you are, so I created these Santa racial purity laws, basically, right? And I'm like, luckily, honey, we're okay, but the Gleinbaums across the street, they're screwed.
Now, if we were in Nazi Germany, Santa wouldn't be coming by at all.
Well, to anybody, probably. But yeah, I remember having to and the tooth fairy too.
Oh my gosh.
It's like, well, I lost the tooth at 11:30. How is she coming at 1?
What kind of an alert system does she have?
Exactly. Is this Amazon?
Have you ever? I ever told you the story about Sean with the tooth fairy? So the tooth fairy at our house leaves $1 gold. Oh, all right. Always left a gold dollar.
Was it a gold dollar or a silver dollar?
It was gold colored. Like
was
the Sacagawea or whatever.
It was $1.
Yes.
It wasn't like a Cougaran.
No, God no. But anyway, I had like 7 of them on hand at any time because he was losing his teeth left and right. And so finally, one day he came up to me and we were about to have dinner. And he goes, Dad, are all the banks closed? I said, yes. He goes, I just noticed that you don't have any more gold coins and where you keep your gold coins. I said, yeah, I think I ran out of them. He goes, okay, good, because I lost a tooth today, and we're going to find out between today and tomorrow if there really is a tooth fairy, and if the dollar is there tomorrow, I'm going to tell my friends I've got proof because we've been discussing it. He was like 2nd grade. Well, the dollar came the next morning, and we were at the breakfast table, and he's like, Tommy, Johnny, I've got proof. Because Sean is our youngest. I've got proof. Right. There's 100% for sure there is a tooth fairy. And Johnny goes, you think maybe Dad just grabbed the dollar out of your wallet and put it back under there? And Sean looked at me like, oh, I hadn't thought of that.
Is that what you did?
Yeah.
Well, one of our, I don't know if you remember this brainless scheme that we were going to do, which I think is still kind of cool. That
one of your get quick rich,
get rich quick. Yeah, they never did.
Yeah.
Well, that's earned income.
Yeah.
Right. That's undeclared income.
Yeah.
So in the as far as the greater good with our tax system, that should be declared.
It should be.
Right. So I was thinking that what parents could do is to prove that there's a tooth fairy. Get a website, and for $19.95, let's say, you put the kid's name, what the tooth, and I would send them a W-tooth, not a W-2, but a W-tooth for tax purposes.
Another free $1 million idea.
Exactly. I thought, I never did it.
No.
Hey, I got a review from Potentium. That's just their name, Potentium.
Okay.
On Apple, Minutia Man is great production and storytelling skills.
Oh.
Engaging with good personalities. So there you go.
I couldn't agree
more.
We're
Storytellers.
I couldn't agree more. You can rate us, you can review us, you can follow us. If you like Minutia Men, check out some of the other programs on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network and pick out your favorite news show at opishows.com. Remember, Opie is hippo backwards. OPPIH shows.com.
I remember one more thing with the Santa thing.
Yeah.
So Lila once, who's our oldest, ended up writing a letter to Santa.
Yes, that is your phone buzzing.
Yeah, I was making sure that it was off because Tony doesn't like it when we
I know.
So she wrote a letter to Santa that she put out at where the milk and cookies were, asking for proof.
Yeah.
Right. So I see the letter, and I don't remember what the letter said, but it's basically, give me proof. I need hard facts here.
Right.
And I drew little reindeer prints. I took a pencil and drew little reindeer prints on her letter, and I put like glitter on it, right? And I put the letter under her pillow. Another thing, completely unrelated.
Yeah,
young kids. Mm-hmm. How do they sleep so soundly? Wouldn't that be great if you
never had a problem once delivering the money.
Right. So she gets up the next morning, and she goes in her room and she goes, "Okay, which one of you did this?" Oh, so she goes, "These footprints look like they're in pencil."
Right, exactly. Santa is a much better forger
than you are.
All right. Anyway, it's time for another feature. We call this one.
Time now for studio walls.
And the words of the prophets were written on the studio walls.
So I will warn you, you might get whiplash going from the cute stories of parenting that we were just talking about to our studio wall segment this week. Because this week is Maitland Ward's birthday. Oh. And Maitland Ward was been on our show. You may remember her from Boy Meets World. She was on a soap opera, The Bold and the Beautiful. She's been in mainstream films. But if you look her up now...
Career change.
I mean, it's still in the acting genre.
Right. She's expanding in different...
she's now an adult film star, as we call it. And we were wondering how she made that transition from one thing to the other. And so this is that portion of the interview. I'm not going to take it the whole way, but I've got something to tell you about this interview after we play this. Here we go.
So did you know somebody in the industry beforehand? Is it...
No, I started, my fans were, when I was getting kicked off, they kept saying, why don't you sell your own content? And I was thinking of doing because I was really into cosplay and doing maybe like sexy cosplay photos and Playboy-esque type things. And so I was like, okay, I didn't think anybody would really, I didn't know if anybody'd buy it, but, I could have some freedom with it. So I started a Patreon account, which is where, patrons of you will buy anywhere. Mine was like anywhere from $15 to $300 a month for stuff. And I thought, who cares about it? I started it one night, forgot about it. And then the next morning I had like 20 people subscribed. And then I was like, whoa. I didn't even mention it.
Wow.
And then by the week's end, I had like 2,800 people. And it just took off from there. And that's really where my adult themed career started, because I was, I really was using this platform as really my own authentic journey, finding out what I wanted to do and how I love to sexually perform. And so before I started in professional filmed porn, I was doing my own sexual content that amped up and up for like a year and a half. So I didn't have to go into porn. I was making a ton of money on my content. And so, but I was thinking about, I really would love to have, something really professional. I wanted to do something, that had high production value. And I always had a dream as I was doing this, that I'd have something where I could really act and it would be a well-written script, and then it could have hot sex. And I just love that whole idea. And I did a scene for Vixen for Blacked that broke the internet. Literally, their website was down for like a half hour when it came out.
Wow.
But it wasn't, I didn't announce it to the press or anything. It was just this viral thing that happened. But at the same time, that same day it came out, they were launching another website called deeper.com with Caden Cross, who is an amazing performer in her own right and won tons of Director of the Year awards. And she was doing like totally different things, fully scripted things, art films with porn in them. And so she happened to lose her co-lead actress for the big feature they were doing for the year, the big feature film. And so she thought she was not going to be able to do it. So she went and said, I don't know what to do. And then they at Vixen, who owns all the brands, told her, well, why don't you talk to Maitland? She's an actress. She just broke our website. Go for it. And I really fell into it. I got a script from her, and it was a full script with a story, and it was just amazing. I had more dialogue than I had in mainstream television. Wow. I was able to do that, and that's what took off. That's the thing that broke, that beat Bernie Sanders' heart attack on the Google searches when that came out.
It might have caused Bernie's heart attack.
I know.
That's our little Maitland Ward segment.
Our Patreon account?
Yeah.
Nothing.
later on in the interview, if you want to check out, it's episode 111. She tells us about a profession we didn't realize that existed. That's lube guy. Lube guy.
And I've sent countless resumes and
it's harder to get those jobs than you think.
You would think, right?
It's like if you know that there is such a thing as a lube guy, you'd think that would give you the
heads up. No,
it would not. No. All right, we have more show for you. What else you got?
This story comes out of New York State. This is kind of like the Santa story. It's
heartwarming.
Mothers and daughters, fathers and daughters. Sort of. Mother sneaks into high school dressed as a student to watch her daughter fight. The mother of a high school student has been arrested for allegedly sneaking into a school dressed as a student so she could watch her daughter fight with another student.
Jesus.
I wonder if she was wearing the fake glasses and nose, mask like the other guy did.
Who's that 60-year-old woman?
The incident took place in Dutchess County in New York State at Arlington High School on January 17th. Immediately following the altercation, it was discovered that the mother of one of the students involved in the fight was in the building without prior authorization, said Captain John Watterson. She entered, like I said, the building, and how all the students come into the building. She just kind of puts her backpack. She probably had that angsty look, that this is
maybe a little kiddie backpack.
She's actually 33. Her name is Valerie Albello, so she's pretty young, obviously. So 33.
Yeah, when we were 33, we could have done it.
I got a feeling a Rick and Dave are not going to be able to sneak into.
Not anymore.
Right.
But when we were 33, it would have been no problem at all.
Well, with me now, it'd be like, who's that kid with cancer?
Right, yeah.
So she was arrested on January 22nd for criminal trespassing, blah, 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 blah. Now, let me ask you, did you have any schoolyard fights back in your youth?
I did. I think I had one that was more of a pushing fight, but no punches were exchanged.
Really? So you had no...
No, never.
Never. I have. And you might want to fire up that I told this story before, because I'm reasonably sure I've mentioned Stuart Coy on the podcast before.
That's okay. That's all right.
So my last fight, sanctioned fight, was 8th grade. Okay, and it was with this kid named Stuart Coy.
Okay.
And I'm not going to lie, I've looked him up. I want to make sure he's far away from me, that he doesn't live in the
Where does he live now? Any idea?
It's been a while since I looked him up, but it was out of the harm's way.
Right.
I was fine.
Yeah.
So, and this is maybe the most humiliating part about it is it was about a swing.
Oh,
I was in 8th grade, and I don't really remember the circumstances.
He pushed you off the swing?
No, I think it was something... It was like my turn to get on. I don't know. I know. While all my other friends are making out in the schoolyard, I'm worried about a swing. Okay, not my finest moment. Second of all, I totally lost the fight.
Yeah, well, that goes without saying.
It wasn't like Stuart Coy was
Femme of the Year.
Yeah, it wasn't like Stuart. That was exactly around that period of time. But thirdly, you know how last week we talked about the guy who parents were ashamed of him for putting his hands in his pocket during the presser? My parents would have been totally embarrassed with my fighting skills.
Oh,
it would have just been, look, David, you'll blocks like this. So I would have brought great shame to my family.
Yeah, because I'm sure Fritz was a big fighter.
Right. Helga probably could have mixed it up.
Well, I've told you this story. I don't think I've told it on the podcast, but do you remember
Peter Meinhardt?
No, the day that Johnny came home from school.
Oh,
so Johnny came home from school and said, "Hey, Dad, I got to do my homework quickly because I got to fight at 4:00." Like, what?
It's right here on the Google. It's on the family Google calendar.
I just got to finish the homework. I got to fight at school at 4:00. I'm like, well, you're not
right.
But you can't do that. You can't be the one that stops the kid from going to the fight because that's right. So I didn't really know.
He's Femme of the Year, hypothetically.
Right. I was watching my life flash before I was watching your life flash before my eyes.
That was the 37 voicemails I didn't pick up that day. Yeah.
So I went with Johnny to the fight site.
Okay.
But I didn't. He didn't let the other kids see me because you know how when fights are scheduled like that.
Oh, it should have a big crowd. Right. Exactly.
There was a crowd waiting for it. And Johnny
pay-per-view,
and Johnny
T-shirts.
was half the size of this other kid. This other kid was large, and I was like, "Oh my god!" Yeah. Johnny was a shrimp, and Johnny walks in and says hi to all the guys.
Bill,
and,
Sam,
right? And the other kid didn't show.
Really? So
Johnny got the cred, the street cred of being brave, without having to get beat up.
Did you think about like what would have happened if the fight would have? What would you have done?
Well, I would never let the fight happen.
Okay. All right.
But I didn't really know what to do.
You would have been beaten up.
Yeah. Hey, kid, come on. Please.
I'm envisioning Joe Pesci and De Niro just kicking you in the stomach.
All right. Well, I have a story for you.
And Stuart Coy, if you're listening, hey, man, it's cool.
Yeah.
Everything's cool.
He told me before we started taping that he could take you. That if you guys ran into each other somewhere, Stuart Coy, he said to me that there's no way I can't beat the crap out of him right now. Yeah, remember?
When was that? Is he around here?
All right. My biggest fear. What's my biggest fear, Dave?
Dying an embarrassing death.
Dying an embarrassing death. So let's listen to this story. A man died after being crushed by a hydraulic telescopic urinal in central London, England, while he was working on the device, the BBC reported. Now, that kind of a toilet, it's a pop-up toilet. They're stored underground during the day. They're raised to street level at night for the homeless people, so they have someplace they can pee. And what happened was it wasn't working correctly, so he went out there, he fixed it, and as he was fixing it, he was crushed to death by a urinal. Would you like to know a little bit more about this man?
Sure.
Well, I can't tell you anything more about him because for the rest of his life, the only thing that will ever be talked about is, isn't he the guy that got crushed by a portable toilet? Yeah. Not fair. I understand it's not fair, but it's reality. And for the rest of eternity, the only thing that this man will be known for is that he was crushed by a toilet. And that's not right.
Didn't he give that kidney to that?
It doesn't matter.
That Santa girl?
It doesn't matter. Yeah. The only thing that matters is that's why it's one of my biggest fears. It's time for another feature.
A random name pulled out of Rick's bowl of brushes with celebrities. Mixture, collection, selection, assemblage, medley, assortment, variety. Time now for Celebrity Potpourri with Rick and Dave.
So this is the part of the show where we tell celebrity stories. And this is the first one, Dave, that comes from my own neighborhood.
Oh, Mount Prospect?
Yeah. In fact, it was somebody that I saw on the street, and he sent me an email afterwards. Here it is. It's from Jim O. Great seeing you on the street the other day shoveling. I just wanted that in there because I was, in fact, shoveling.
Okay.
Not the record show. I did it myself. I've walked by your house 100 times and never realized that you lived there. Here's a little tidbit for your podcast. Did you know that a famous person lived on your street in the 1970s? About 4 houses down from you and across the street, one of the Chicago Cubs lived there. Remember Rick Russell? His brother Paul, who was also a Cub, lived on your street.
Wow.
Also, one of the early lottery winners lived on your street, but I'm not sure which house.
Well, you knew that because that was your neighbor, right?
No, it was this house.
It was your house was a lottery
My
winner?
house. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was a lottery. That's why I don't buy lottery tickets because
this is the one that won.
It's already happened.
Right. So Paul Russell
lived on this street.
Paul Russell, for those of you who don't know Paul Russell, try to look at a picture of Paul Russell. The man was not fit. Okay, he was
about 270.
He was a little doughy, but he was able.
And he wore glasses.
Yeah, he was just this. And his brother Rick, who did he win the Cy Young one year?
Yeah, well, I don't know if he won the Cy Young, but he won 20 games. Yeah, he was a great pitcher.
He was not fit either.
No,
the Russells did not.
No,
they liked their carbohydrates.
If you saw them on the street, you go, "Oh, that guy runs a hardware store or something like that."
That guy's diabetic because they did not look healthy at all.
Which is perfect for my street.
Right.
So thank you, Jim, for letting me know that. I had heard that once before, but I had not gotten the exact house. So now I know exactly what house. So that's it for this week. Our 301st episode
in the books.
once again, our apologies to the Rick and Dave dancers.
Yeah.
Our apologies
We'll just
to
do it
the
at
marching
600.
band.
We'll do it at 500, God willing.
Well, how about 400?
Sure.
Yeah, we may never make it to 500.
You don't think so?
No, we're 400 for that matter. But
okay. I need I need something to look forward to at our age. So
we'll do it. Special thanks to our executive producer, Tony Lasana with opishows.com, who has now been an executive producer of 301 episodes.
301, yeah.
Yeah. Opie is hippo backwards, OPPIHshows.com.
How many of the celebrity interviews have we done?
I think we're at 120.
Oh.
Yeah. And I've done almost 200 of the Free Kicks episodes, too.
Wow. And we still don't have a key to the executive bathroom at the Radio Misfits network.
And we're distributed by Ed Silla with Radio Misfits. Great Talk Radio isn't dead. It just moved to a better place. RadioMisfits.com. And we'll be back again next week with a brand new episode of
Minutia Men.
The preceding was a presentation of Opie Productions. Find our other great shows wherever you find podcasts, including opishows.com. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of Opie Productions.
Tony, can you shut up?